Have Donald Trump's trade deals actually been signed? And if they're not, are they really trade deals? If I'm reminded of the question, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound? If a trade deal has been stated to exist by Donald Trump, but nobody has signed anything, and there's no date on which it goes into effect, and there's no signatures down on paper, is it really a trade deal? And this is sort of like, are you kidding me? This is where we are right now. Scott Bessent was interviewed on CNBC. And it's just, how do we end up in these situations? As many of you know, the Vietnam deal was one of the first ones announced as Donald Trump was failing to do 90 deals in 90 days. He said, well, we've got a Vietnam deal. This was weeks ago. CNBC asks Scott Bessent, the Vietnam deal. Vietnam hasn't confirmed that that's a real thing. Is it signed? Is there an actual deal on paper? And Bessent goes, I assume there is. Dear God.
These deals have been coming pretty fast and furious. At times it gets hard to track the details of them. The Vietnam deal that the president announced earlier in July, I don't think we've seen confirmation, or at least I haven't, as I sit here now, from the Vietnamese government of that deal. Did we get confirmation from the Vietnamese government? Do we have an agreement with them on paper?
I didn't work on that deal, but I assume that we do. Because we've also done in Indonesia and Philippines, so I would imagine that.
But you haven't seen that paperwork.
But I don't. That's Ambassador Greer, who is a seasoned veteran with an encyclopedic memory and knowledge of all this, keeps all that.
How do you?
The dog ate the paperwork. So this led me to zoom out and say, have any of the announced deals actually been signed? Like, what is a deal? Has it been signed? And I looked at some reporting on this. What it seems to be right now, and this is what the White House is saying. So understand that this is the most optimistic understanding of it. The framework with the UK, which is not a deal, remember, it's not a trade deal, it's a framework, that was signed at the G7 in Canada last month. But that's not a deal, that's a framework. So they've signed a framework, which just says we're going to work towards a deal. So there's no deal there. They've signed a framework. Number two, Indonesia signed onto a statement of intent, not a deal. You could also say that's just a framework. In business, there's this term called a letter of intent. Imagine that I'm a real estate investor, for example, and I start calling some real estate owners and I say, hey, I'd like to look at some of your properties and maybe buy them. And they go, I need to make sure that you're serious. So I would draw up a letter of intent and I would sign it, but it's not a deal. I've bought no real estate. I haven't even committed to buy real estate. I've just signed something that says, I would like to be in business with you. I would like to take a look at some of your properties. These frameworks are essentially letters of intent. And so with the UK, we have a framework, not a deal. With Indonesia, we have a statement, a joint statement that we are going to be doing a deal. We have no deal. We then have no real answer about Vietnam. Scott Bessent was asked, has a deal been signed? And he says, I assume that a deal has been signed. Right now, so as I sit here today recording this, I can't say that we really have certainty that any of these deals are deals or have been signed. This is the way the Trump administration operates. And the most kind of pernicious thing about all this, of course, there's propaganda value. And I'm sorry, I just hit my mic. I'm getting very agitated by this. Of course, there's like a propagandistic value to announcing a deal that doesn't exist. But this stuff moves markets. And just like as an example, as I'm recording this today, there is news about, it's all about India and what's happening with Indian tariffs. But it's all based on just claims. None of this stuff has been put to paper, at least not as of this recording. And so it's having a significant stock market impact, which impacts businesses, which impacts employment. But a lot of this appears to be just bluster. Has Scott Bessent, is he sure that some of these deals are actually deals that have been signed? He's not. He can't tell us that that's the case. There was a time when public education meant learning math, science, history, but now we are seeing Bible verses in biology class. We're seeing 10 commandments on the wall, religious chaplains taking the place of trained counselors, and it's all funded by taxpayer money through voucher programs that are sending public dollars to private religious schools. This is part of a broader effort to inject religion into public education. I'm against that. And it often is coming at the expense of real academic standards and the well-being of the students. Now, our sponsor, the Freedom from Religion Foundation, is fighting back. FFRF defends constitutional principles, takes legal action when schools cross the line, and protects students from religious coercion in public classrooms. If you believe in facts, in protecting education, in keeping religion out of public schools, I can tell you this is an organization very much worth supporting. To get involved, go to ffrf.org/school or text David to 511-511. Message and data rates may apply. The link is in the description.